Well, I have to attack this one immediately. Every single time I think that the people that I know are going to disappoint me, they never do. You know, I'm begging for you guys to just disappoint me one time, but you never do. Every time I think that you'll just use a little bit of your intellect when you hear something, pause a little, think about it, analyze it, and then see if there's any credibility to what is being said. You will never do that. And you drink it up and swallow the story wholesale without even dissecting the story. Why don't you guys disappoint me for one time? Just disappoint me. Just show me that you have a little bit of critical thinking and reasoning. Just a little bit.
The largest deportation operation in American history once he takes office. NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins us now with more on her exclusive reporting. Julia.
So just imagine, we just had an election. We just saw the monumental amount of propaganda that was spewed by Kamala Harris and the Democrats, by the media, and by all these other political hacks, even the pollsters. We saw these people bold-facedly lied to us. Everything they've said was a lie. On top of that, we saw that millions and millions of dollars were spent to propagate those lies. And all of this was unmasked. So we know that these things happen. So you would think, after all that has happened, you would just think for a second that people are going to pause and they're going to say, wait. This mainstream media is out to spread propaganda. This mainstream media is made up of a bunch of liars with specific agendas to deceive and to lie to the mass of people. I mean, something. The average, logical, reasonable mind, something would click and say, no. I've been lied leading up to the election, and everything that was said to me was a lie. Well, just probably, just maybe, when I hear something from the media, just maybe, I should pause and don't allow my emotions to run away with me. And I should think about what I heard and really analyze it. But no, you know what? You betches are lazy. To do that requires work. It is easy just to sit there, be mentally lazy, okay? And just swallow up everything that's given to you. That is the easy thing to do. And that's exactly what you guys do. And then you have a bunch of political hacks out there, okay? You have a bunch of propagandists out there, both internationally and regionally in the Caribbean and locally in Grenada. These political hacks, these bunch of singers for their supper, okay, help to deceive you and you fall for it. These sensationalists who claim to be media personalities, these sensationalists bamboozle you. Look at the people that you are letting bamboozle you. Just look at who's bamboozling you. Take a look at the people that you are allowing to manipulate you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Totally ashamed. So they run with a story, they sensationalize it, and they play with your emotions, and you guys get all riled up. And you're like, how could Trump deport people to Grenada? How could Trump deport people to Bahamas? How could Trump deport people to Turks and Caicos? And you know what's so funny? If you guys just took a little bit of time to just listen to the story carefully, even within the story, the people are giving you guys so many clues as to what is actually going on with the story. But no, the media phrase this thing so well. These, I gotta hand it to them. They're masters of cunning. They're masters of deceit, especially for foolish people. They're masters of deceit. But the 2024 election unmasked them. So I just thought for a second, I said, wait. Well, these people that I know, just maybe they'll get a little sense after the 2024 election. The posters was wrong. All these political, big political pundits were wrong. And yet still, because over the years, they've so demonized and villainized Trump in you guys' head that you just can't shake. You can't shake that Trump derangement syndrome that you guys are suffering from. You just can't shake it. They're so embedded in your psychology, your personal psychology, hatred for that man, that even if you tried, you cannot ditch the hatred. You know, they've actually got you people like pets. They actually have, it's like they're breeding pets. These people have such cunning. It's like they're breeding pets. They've got you guys eating out of their hands.
They just eat the black oil sunflower seeds and the other seeds.
Okay? They have you like pets. Because you are reacting like pets. They chewed some corn, and like chickens, you run up and down and you swallow it up. They chewed some dog food for the masses, and everybody gobbles it up. Just like this. This is what you do. This is what you guys do. Take a look at this. Take a look at this.
Okay. Gotta eat so fast, man.
Now, I know that's some real fast and greedy eating, but that's exactly how you guys consume propaganda from mainstream media. Just think about it. Take a look at yourself. Do a little introspection. And that's exactly how you guys consume what is fed to you by mainstream media. And then when you have decent, legitimate voices out there trying to help you guys, trying to liberate your minds from the clutches of these propagandists, you resent it. And you hold on to that dog food. You hold on to it for dear life. You would actually fight with people who are trying to educate you about what is happening. But you know, this is not surprising. Even the scriptures talk about that. Where even Jesus told his disciples, when you go to people and they're not receptive to the message, what he said? Dust your shoulders off and dust off your sandals and leave. He said, he even talk about throwing pearls to swine. He said, don't throw your pearls to swine. Because what would happen? He told you what they'll do to you. They will beat you and tear your clothes off of you. That is what people who you're trying to liberate will do to you. You see, this malady of decadence that you people are being fed now, this didn't happen by a mystery. It is the curse of ungratefulness. Because there were many great leaders that came before you to help you, to liberate you, to have you see the light. And guess what? You betrayed them. You destroyed them. The Malcolm X's of the world, the Martin Luther Kings of the world, the Maurice Bishop of the world. Okay? They came to help you in some respects. Some of them might have been a little misguided, but they still came to help you. And you betrayed them. So what you guys are suffering from now is the curse of ungratefulness. And that is why you inherit and you get the leaders that you get. It's not a mystery. It is no mystery. That is why propagandists and bandits rob you. That is why. And you have false prophets that lead you guys astray. Because, again, it's the curse of ungratefulness. Okay, so after this introduction and a half, let's take a look at this video by NBC and let's analyze it a bit and comment on it.
Julia, first, just reporter to reporter, my hat is completely off to you for all the late-breaking details you've managed to get about this new plan, which a lot of us are unclear about how it would actually work.
Well, there's a reason why you're unclear about it, and there's a reason why you don't understand how it would work, because the way you presented it as if it was some sort of tyrannical action by Trump to go to these countries and say, you take this amount, you take these migrants. Of course. That's the reason why you don't understand how it would work. Because the way you're packaging it and selling it to the masses just doesn't make sense.
Which countries are on the list?
Yeah, Morgan. Well, as a reporter, sometimes we find these details and we don't exactly know the how. We just know what they're talking about. And
So there is your first clue where you should have been suspicious of this reporting. Notice what she says. She says, as a reporter, we don't know the how, and we don't know the details, but we just know what we heard. So if you're a reporter and if you're truly a journalist and you heard something, don't you think you will want to find out the what? We know the what, the who, the when, and the how, and the why. Isn't that what journalism is all about? So right there and then, when you listen to this, if you had a keen ear, you should have said, oh, she doesn't know the how? Why didn't she investigate the how? So you heard a little bit of the story, you ran with it, and you wanted to, to emotionalize and rile up people against Trump. So you spewed a story one time. You spewed the propaganda or the incomplete information one time.
in this case, they're talking about sending migrants who were arrested in the United States back to the countries of Turks and Caicos, Panama, Grenada, and the Bahamas, even though these migrants are not from there. This is their workaround when there are lots of migrants in this country from countries that won't take them back. Places like Venezuela, places like Cuba, China takes back very few of their migrants. So this would mean taking those nationals who are in the United States and putting them on planes to those countries. It's unclear if they would be able to work there, if they'd be able to stay there permanently in a legal way. But
so there it is. There it is, these tabloid news. After she's used all this emotional language, and she talks about, oh, they're going to just take these migrants and send them to these countries, and we're not sure if they're going to be able to work or stay there or what's going to happen to them. And she's appealing to your sympathy. She's appealing to humanity, conveniently. And then after she says all of this, listen what she says.
we understand that that is the list the Trump administration is working on right now. They're trying to grow that list, and they're talking to these countries now to see if they can get to an agreement to be able to take back these people.
And there is the key word that you sensationalists missed. There is the key word that these political hacks, locally, regionally, and internationally, didn't emphasize. They're talking to these countries to see if they can come to an agreement. That's logical. Any reasonable, logical thinking person would say, oh, well, the way they package the story initially and sensationalize the story, it doesn't make sense. If you want to do something like that, there is sovereignty of nations. You can't just take migrants and send them back to a nation. They have to come to an agreement. And of course, there might be incentive for countries who might be having economic issues and might be lured into taking on this deal. So this is not a forced deal. This is a negotiated deal. This is an agreement. Now, the Trump administration, of course, they care about efficiency. They want to get as much migrants out of the country in as short a space of time. So as they say in politics, promises made and promises kept. This is being done to show that they are politically serious. This is being done to tell their base that, hey, we are politically serious. Take us seriously. We said we was going to do A, and guess what? When we get into power, we are going to do A. Now, I don't care what you say. That is a politically savvy thing to do. So there's also some sort of strategy to what is being done. So if these people are deported back to these quote unquote foreign countries, countries that they're not familiar with, guess what? When someone is feeling some sort of pressure or is in a place that they don't feel comfortable with, what do? They try to make it back home. So more than likely, unless things are really, really bad back home, then they'll probably stay wherever they are. But if things are so bad where they are, trust me, they'll try to make it back home by the hook or the crook. So their home country may not accept them directly from the United States, but there might be another negotiated settlement where these countries that are hosting them temporarily could say, okay, let me reach out to Venezuela. Let me reach out to the countries of their origin and try to get them back to that country. That's the strategy.
Simply because the Trump administration wants to be able to deport someone within 1 week of arresting them. This is their way to be able to carry out these plans for mass deportations and keep the numbers high without having a massive backlog within ICE detention here in the United States.
Let me tell you something. All these countries that politely turned down the offer in good times are not in economically dire straits. I am telling you, if the price is right, there will be takers on this deal. Trump knows that. The people around him knows that. If the price is right, and if things are economically tight in that country, and they see it as a way of helping their own citizen or increasing their treasury, guess what? They will do it. Or if their circumstances, even those who refuse, if their circumstances change, what do you think is going to happen? If they come in and say, look, I'm giving you 100,000 or 50,000, or 30,000 or even 20,000 for everybody that, that comes into your country, it might be attractive.
Within 1 week of arresting them, I mean, that's pretty quick. But what's interesting, Julia, is it feels like past this prologue here, because we've seen an element of this before. I mean, Mr. Trump had a similar policy to this during his first term. Back in 2019, his administration sent migrants to Guatemala, and they didn't even know where they were going. So how did that play out?
Yeah, that's right. We didn't get to see exactly what the full force of that policy could look like because COVID-19 happened and they started blocking migrants from crossing the border.
So I haven't fact checked, but if there's any credibility or if there's any truth to what these people said about Guatemala being one of the takers during the first Trump administration, see, there you go. There are always people who will be willing to take these chances if there's money involved and the price is right.
At all. But in the end of 2019, we saw the first flight. There was a Honduran man who was sent back to Guatemala. We were told by him and others who made that same journey, they didn't even know where they were going. They got on a flight thinking, okay, we might be going somewhere else in the United States. Perhaps we're being deported back to our home country. Instead, they were taken to Guatemala because Guatemala had an agreement with the United States to start taking back migrants who weren't from those countries. This is something Trump has done in the past. He could put pressure on these countries, either diplomatically, through tariffs. We know a lot of the countries on the list depend a lot on U.S. tourism right now. And so this is their way to try to really fully flex that policy, even though they were sued for it in the last administration.
Everything that this woman just said towards the end, again, she's trying to, villainize Trump like it's unique to Trump. To use political pressure or diplomacy to get things done. Everything she said in terms of political pressure has been done in the past, is being done right now as we speak, and will be done in the future. There is always a struggle in diplomacy and political interests or economic interests in the world. So all these forces are at play right now. All these things are happening. Nations are pressuring other nations to get things done. And there's a constant back and forth jockeying for power, for influence, and to get what they want. So the onus is on these governments that are vulnerable and the politicians within these governments that are vulnerable to actually be proficient at what they do, to be shrewd at what they do, to understand international diplomacy and politics and know how to protect their country. And I made a whole video about survivability of political parties and government. You could take a look at that. So the bottom line is this. When you hear something, and by now you should be on guard, because of all the things that happened prior to the 2024 election, and then seeing all the lies, all the propaganda, all the, wiggling here and there, right now you guys should be proficient at this. The world, there's so much media in the world, and there's so many things being unmasked. As Cat Williams had said, he says 2024, man, there'll be a lot of unmasking. A lot of stuff will be exposed. And it actually was the year of exposure, or is the year of exposure, because there's still a few days, So, bottom line, you hear a story. Don't listen to the story secondhand. Go to the source of the story. Analyze the story. Think about it for a moment. Don't be impulsive. Don't just take it and run with it. Because after you take it and run with it, the damage is already done. And sometimes these things can have far-reaching consequences. So if you just apply that simple rule in everything you hear, whether it be a little tidbit, a little story that somebody told you, don't just run with it. Don't just put it out there. And do not let, again, you really should be ashamed of yourself for the people you let bamboozle you. These so-called media personalities, you guys should really, really be embarrassed that you let these people bamboozle you. But anyway, that's a whole different issue. But cultivate a sense of reasoning and logic and research. It doesn't take that long. Now you guys have your phone, your tablet, your whatever, at your fingertips. Research your story and look at alternative sources. Don't just go to mainstream media. Mainstream media is dead. Mainstream media pretty much has been crucified by Trump and his media. Okay? And the media that supported him during 2024. If I were you guys, why would I even look at or listen to mainstream media? They're gone. They've been decimated. The only thing they're going to do right now is to try to, spew a bunch of propaganda story. And I'm telling you, they're going to resist. It's exactly like what they did. I mean, there's no mystery here. Exactly what they did in the first Trump's administration, where every day they create anxiety in you. And these people are smart. I know the psychology of it. So every day it's breaking news. They're going to do the same thing in this administration. Every single day they're going to have breaking news. And everything they're going to say is going to be negative about Trump. But regardless of that, he is going to keep charging on. And he's going to keep making America great again. So buckle up, guys. It's going to be a long 4 years for you people. And remember, don't be like this guy right here. Don't be like him. When you try to take away his dog food from him, he gets arrogant and he tries to bite you. Don't be like him.